Welcome to episode 1 of ZKast for 2022, everybody. I hope everyone had a great holiday break, and it seems we're right back at it now. Before I get going, though, I want to give a quick shout out to my media partner, eWeek. As always, ZKast are done in conjunction with the eWeek eSpeaks series. Today, to kick off this year, I'm delighted to be joined by Dhawal Sharma, VP of Product Management for the red-hot cloud security company Zscaler. Welcome, Dhawal, and why don't you just give us a little intro on yourself?
Thank you, Zeus, and Happy New Year. Hi, everyone. This is Dhawal. I'm VP of Product Management at Zscaler. Been with the company for almost 10 years. I focus on one of the key growth initiative, Zscaler Digital Experience, and a few other emerging technology product areas, and happy to be here today.
Yeah, so this is an interesting topic because, as I mentioned, Zscaler, we know you as a cloud security company, but we're going to be talking digital experience. And back in November of 21, we actually talked about ZDX a little bit, and when you announced some enhancements to the service. So given your strength in cloud security, why did Zscaler decide to build a monitoring product like this, and how does it fit into the overall Zscaler portfolio?
Yeah, so that's a good question. A lot of our customers ask us, but if you look at our growth over the years, in the last decade, Zscaler as a platform, we have focused on making sure our customers get better security, no matter where their employees are, whether they sit in office or they are outside the office. We act as a security exchange sitting between users going out to any destination, whether they are internet or private applications. A lot of our customers adopt Zscaler as part of their broader digital transformation journey. And when we think digital transformation, one of the key intent is to embrace cloud mobility. And if you are adopting these technologies and you are going for better security, it is also very, very important to have good user experience. We focused on the user experience aspect for many years by building point of presence across the globe with 150 data centers today. But as we started thinking more and more, our goal was to make sure we provide the shortest path to these destinations for our customers. But also, there are a lot of issues that we started observing that were happening, not due to, let's say, our cloud presence or not due to just ISP issues on how people connect to us, but due to local routing problems, ISP first mile connectivity problems, or sometimes just due to local users' device issues. So by virtue of how we have built our platform, we have an agent which just steers traffic to the cloud, sits on the user device. We sit between the users and the destinations they are going with the cloud we have built with massive presence across the globe. And with our private access service, we actually have a presence in front of customers' applications. So we sit in the entire data path, and we thought we are sitting in the right place to build a end-to-end user experience monitoring platform that leverages our point of presence and is very complementary to our security offerings. So it is very, very complementary to what we have been doing in the security space for a long time.
Yeah, now monitoring is an interesting area because it's very broad, very deep, lots of incumbent vendors, and the typical enterprise has typically deployed 3, 5, 10, maybe even a dozen or more monitoring tools already. So what gaps does your product fill, and why would a company consider ZDX?
Yeah, so that's the question we asked ourselves when we started building ZDX. So motivation for ZDX, just to give you some backdrop on it, about 3 years ago when we started thinking of building ZDX, first thing I did was I looked at all the support tickets that have come into Zscaler from our customers. So about 20% of all the tickets that come in our support queue come in the area of traffic forwarding or how people connect to us. And 80% of the issues that we observed were due to the fact that not a Zscaler problem. These were like either last mile connectivity problem or local issues on the customer's environment or the device issues. Now, first thing we started looking at is we ourselves have been using off-the-shelf monitoring tool in our cloud operations. And what we always found was they were very reactive in their approach. To your point, availability and performance monitoring market has been around for more than 3 decades, and there are established vendors in this space. But as we have seen in the world of security, there were tons and tons of point monitoring or point security tools that have been getting consolidated with secure service edge or zero trust network access based approaches. we thought there's an opportunity to bring this consolidation in the world of monitoring. There are very siloed tools, to your point. A typical enterprise is using dozens of tools. Like there is network performance monitoring tool, which network teams use. There's end user or laptop desktop monitoring tools, which is used by workspace teams. There is application monitoring or APM tools. And all of these tools are living in silos. And what we have also seen is as you adopt more and more SaaS services, every SaaS vendor will stick you with their own monitoring tool. Like Microsoft will give you a Skype monitoring tool, and then you have trust portals from different vendors. So it became very, very difficult for organizations to see when a problem happened, what is the impact? And most of the time they were reacting to it. So we saw an opportunity to convert this space by consolidating a lot of point monitoring tools into a broader digital experience monitoring platform. So a lot of traditional monitoring capabilities kind of are collapsing into what we are building, but in a way, we fit into the broader monitoring ecosystem.
Well, now we analysts, we love to create acronyms and things like that. And the good folks at Gartner have been recently using a term called SSE, which stands for Security Service Edge. And what they're trying to do with that is describe the evolution of security to a platform. Does ZDX fit into that?
Yeah, so SSE is very interesting from our positioning perspective, to be honest. For a very long time, as you would know, Zscaler was positioned in secure web gateway, but as the leader in this space. But what Zscaler has done over many years is on the security side, we said there's no need for an individual firewall. There's no need for a standalone sandbox or let's say for a standalone browser isolation service, right? So we are consolidating these. And as you think about what we have done is, and again, we introduced the concept of cloud-based security running on the edge, right? Not running deep inside a data center and building POPs to just steer traffic to that data center. So conceptually, Zscaler has been doing what is called secure service edge for many, many years from day one, to be honest. Now, so we see a very good alignment with that positioning. And as I mentioned, right, for us, the digital experience monitoring or ZDX product is basically helping customers realize the full potential of that security. Because if you get the best security in the world and your user experience is suffering as a result of it, your end users will not be happy, right? So a lot of our customers who are adopting ZDX are seeing immediate return on value in terms of not only getting better security, but if there is a bottleneck somewhere, because remember, a lot of customers who are transitioning to cloud security come from a very legacy architecture. So their way how they send traffic to us or how their enterprise networks have been built over many, many years, there could be bottlenecks that they are not even aware of it, right? So our intent with ZDX has been to make sure that those bottlenecks could be identified and customers know where they need to act on. So it kind of becomes a very cohesive framework where you are providing better security, but also enabling better user experience by telling them where things are. And that's very important to build a comprehensive security edge architecture that Zscaler has built for many years.
Yeah, that juxtaposition of good security and good performance has always been there. And it seems like there's always been a trade-off, but it sounds like you're trying to address that. Now, I was looking through your last earnings announcement, and I believe the commentary on ZDX is that it's Zscaler's fastest growing service now. So I'm curious to understand what's led to that growth and how you're selling ZDX with the broader Zscaler platform.
Yeah. So there, if you think about ZDX as a product line, right? So it's an independent product line, the way we have built it, right? So it's like we have Zscaler Internet Access, we have Zscaler Private Access, ZDX is a pillar product line, but it's built on the same platform, which is very, very important. So we are not selling siloed point products. We made a lot of architectural decisions on day one that it would be integrated or an integral part of our customers' journey. So if you think about one of the key things is every enterprise hates putting more agents on the user's device, right? As Zscaler, 5 years ago, when we built our agent, we made a decision to have only one Zscaler agent for all our products and services. So first thing we did is all the instrumentation from a monitoring perspective that we had to do, we built in the same agent. So as a result of it, some of our very, very large customers with 70,000 users, 100,000 users who are deployed with our internet access service didn't need to deploy another agent or virtual machines or browser plugins. They basically got the license. Within few hours, they had like all these users' experience being monitored. And this was a big win from their perspective. Now, another thing which we have done is the way we have launched the product into the market is you can, of course, customers can buy it on their own, but from a go-to-market perspective, we focus on having this as part of our broader platform. So customers who are buying our security services can have ZDX bundled with it. Those customers who are already on security services, they can buy it as an add-on. And those customers who are starting on the security side, because one thing which we'll talk a little bit later is also the different kind of personas, because typically we sell to office of CISOs, CIOs, and networking teams get involved, but ZDX goes beyond that, right? So at times our champions who are buying our security services don't look at the ZDX because of time crunch. Then we also are giving them a standard version of ZDX seeded in with our core services of Zscaler Internet Access and Private Access. So they can get, let's call it a tastemaker for ZDX, and then they can deploy it, and then they see immediate value, and then they move to the next version of ZDX.
Yeah, so can you drill down that a little bit? I know there's two versions available. You have ZDX Standard and ZDX Advanced. What do I get with Standard, and then when would I upgrade to Advanced?
Yeah, so ZDX Standard is basically bundled with our Zscaler Internet Access and Zscaler Private Access edition. So any customer who is buying these services beyond the business and editions will get ZDX as well, the standard version. One of the key thing or decision we made is we, instead of giving you 10 seats of ZDX with 100 seats of Zscaler or giving a subset of those, we actually gave ZDX Standard for every single user that for whom you are buying our security services. And the immediate value of that is the way you look at, the way you think about ZDX, it is basically monitoring three variables that could impact end user experience: network, endpoint, application, right? With ZDX Standard, we are still monitoring every single user's device health, right? Like how their CPU is doing, how their memory is doing, like is their device healthy, is it connected to the right Wi-Fi? We allow them to monitor up to 3 critical applications or set up 6 probes, like network level probe, application probes. Whether these are internal application, whether these are SaaS application, it doesn't matter. So they can set up 6 probes with this, and they can see data up to last 48 hours. So this helps them proactively troubleshoot things, but also get a good understanding of the value ZDX is delivering for their entire user base. We have many customers who actually have deployed ZDX Standard for their entire workforce. They're seeing immediate value. And some of our recent large ZDX Advanced wins have come from customers who actually were deployed with ZDX Standard, but they were ready to move to ZDX Advanced, where we unlock the full potential of ZDX, where essentially what we do is we allow them to monitor tens of applications. We can monitor up to set up up to 100 probes, which essentially is 50 applications you can monitor. Then we have integration with third-party tools, and we have API, we have webhooks to integrate with other ticketing system. We have alerting framework that gets unlocked. Also, we recently introduced UCaaS monitoring. So you can basically do API-based monitoring of your Microsoft Teams and Zoom tenant as part of it. And there's a lot of additional things coming down the future in ZDX Advanced that will keep making it more and more valuable. Just to add one more point to it. So one thing which we also saw in an opportunity we saw based on our customer engagement is that a lot of customers have in the last 2 years have adopted Office 365 or Microsoft 365 services. And they had, especially customers who were moving from on-premise or traditional Office to Microsoft 365 were struggling in terms of understanding where the bottlenecks are with performance. So we also introduced ZDX for M365 package, which includes key Office applications like Outlook, Teams, and SharePoint pre-packaged. So customers can just deploy that for M365, and then they can move to ZDX Advanced as well.
Yeah, now you would, that's interesting because you had initially said that a lot of your sales are run through the CISO organization, but what you were just talking about actually are use cases for IT operations and help desk teams. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like those are also organizations that will benefit from ZDX, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So again, it's all part of, as we build the product, we are learning ourselves as well. We engage with customers and we learn where the ZDX is being adopted. Some of the mistakes that we made earlier, I would say, ZDX still being around for just over a year now as a generally available product. But in first few months when we made ZDX available to customers, our security champions loved it because as you can imagine, every time a user is having a performance issue, who gets blamed? Security, right? So security used as a tool to prove their innocence. But I think what we realized is the full potential of ZDX was being realized for organizations who were giving it in hands of network operations, then were operationalizing it with service desk and workspace teams. So then we started seeing an opportunity to show the value of ZDX to these potential teams within the organization, and they loved it for that reason. Because, as I mentioned, most of the time, monitoring tools are very reactive. Something bad happens, you get hundreds of tickets, there's a cost associated with tickets, and then you look at monitoring tools and they basically act on it. We kind of flipped that on the head. The way ZDX works is, instead of like you setting up thresholds and understanding what is indicator of good versus bad performance, we basically baseline the user experience, no matter where they're coming from, for what application they're using. And then we look for deviation. If there's deviation in the ZDX, we use a scoring principle called ZDX score. But score acts like a thermometer. If you are showing symptoms, we can look at what potentially is going wrong. And then, depending on persona, whether you are from network team, application team, endpoint team, you have a rich set of telemetry that you can look. And your typical level 1, level 2 people can look at ZDX data, can understand what is the problem, where is the problem, and then they can understand why that problem is happening. So the mean time to detection comes down significantly. A number of tickets that get opened when a large incident happens, at that time, you can send out advisories to your employees much sooner, so the ticket volume doesn't come in, because every ticket has a cost associated with it. So we have seen some of these tremendous benefits from our customers who have adopted ZDX in last 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, well, it seems like some of the benefit there is a move away from that concept of mean time to innocence and actually trying to fix the problem instead of just proving it's not your own fault, right? So
yeah,
that's something IT is very good at, it seems. Now, in November, you added UCaaS monitoring, and if there's one market that's been as hot as cloud security, it's cloud collaboration, right? So how does your UCaaS monitoring work?
Yeah, so again, driven by customers, a lot of demand on this. Just to be clear, right, our customers were able to monitor applications like Zoom and Teams even before we introduced the UCaaS monitoring. Just to double click on that, like understanding the network path to, let's say, Teams front door or to Zoom's data center was there in ZDX from day one. We could monitor Zoom process on the device and tell you when Zoom process is consuming a lot of memory, for example. Those things were there in the product. What we have introduced now is getting more specific meeting level details, like who were the attendees on a given meeting, how was individual attendees meeting experience. And another thing which we did is, as you can imagine, like these collaboration applications are very different from typical web applications, right? So the kind of metrics that you really want to monitor are also different for these applications. For example, for web application, we compute the score based on a key metric like page fetch time, which is like how long it takes to load the page in front of you when you are accessing that application. But that metric is irrelevant for UCaaS application. So we basically enhanced our security, our scoring logic to have the score for UCaaS application computed on MOS score. MOS score is much more relevant, and it includes factors like audio jitter, video latency, sharing latencies. And what we do in this case is we basically have, we give customers an option to connect to the call quality data from Microsoft Teams and Zoom through APIs. And we basically enrich the network path and the device monitoring we are doing with the meeting level details. So let's say if I'm having like on a given day, if I do 5 Zoom meetings, you will see all the meetings I was part of, how was my experience on each meeting, and who were all different attendees in that meeting. And you can then look at MOS score, was the audio latency high? And the best thing is like, you can then drill down and see the high audio latency, was that result of a bad Wi-Fi connection, or was that result of a bad network connectivity from my home, or was that just because there was an issue on the transport relay side of these applications itself? So getting that single pane of glass, all these stacks from a single user perspective or a geo perspective or a company perspective or in a single place. And this simplifies the life of someone who is troubleshooting these issues, level 1, level 2 people, or even when this gets escalated, makes it very easy to troubleshoot these scenarios.
Yeah, so in addition to UCaaS, you also announced the monitoring of zero trust architectures. And so how the heck do you monitor zero trust, and why is that important?
Yeah, so that actually has been I would say that was the harder problem, to be honest, because if we go to the underlying essence of zero trust architecture is that you make your applications go dark, right? Those applications are, and this is the problem, by the way, which a lot of our customers who are using traditional monitoring tools, when security moved to zero trust architecture, their monitoring tools become completely ineffective, right? And so basically, as applications are not visible from outside, you have to do instrumentation inside. And even then, another challenge you face with these applications is these are running in your data center. Let's say server is running there. If you don't put the right monitoring architecture, you might just create a denial of service on your own servers by just sending tens and hundreds of monitoring probes on them, right? So that we had to spend quite a bit of engineering time to solve this problem. And this was another capability we made generally available for our customers who have Zscaler private access service. So we basically, instead of just sending probes from the agent, we basically do a lot of smarts on our cloud broker service, which is essentially our service edge where all the policies are executed, and all the SDP gateways, which we call as app connectors. We kind of use the principles of rate limiting and aggregating the probes, and then we also have some telemetry which is connected in real time as application connections are set up to these from the gateways to the applications. And we bring this telemetry out in a way that you still get that visibility from every single user to the destination perspective, but without creating any architectural burden. So we had to do a lot of work on our side to support it, but this is one of the key differentiating capability that we have for our customers. And to be honest, something which I have personally seen, and we have seen it in our own Zscaler environment recently also, is that the private application data paths are much more complicated and complex than the internet-bound data paths, because you have years and years of legacy networking in place. You do not know how your internal traffic is being routed, and every single user traffic takes different path. So if you are not monitoring these, we have customers who have been finding a lot of bad network decisions they made a decade ago or 2 decades ago, which are still in place, which have been causing latency, and users got used to them. But with ZDX now, they are tweaking these architectures to make faster access or give faster access to private applications as well.
You gave me a lot of interesting theoretical examples of the UCaaS and zero trust and other types of monitoring. Do you have any actual customer examples that you could share with us, though, of people using ZDX?
Yeah, so there are, I would say we have a lot of them, because every time a customer finds something interesting with ZDX, they actually send a screenshot of us. Hey, look what we found, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a few of them. Let's talk about a specific macro scenario. Macro scenario is when there's a big SaaS application like Office 365 or Salesforce, which will have an outage, right? So when Salesforce had a big outage on their infrastructure back in May of 2021, we actually saw that a lot of customers were getting impacted as a result of it. So, and that was cascading over a period of time. So it impacted the people in international markets first. US people started seeing slowness in connecting. Their connections were timing out, but for people outside US, they were simply not able to connect to Salesforce. Even our own employees who work in sales use Salesforce for a living, right? So typically on a given day, when this kind of incident happened, even in Zscaler, our IT team would expect about 200 to 300 tickets coming their way, right? But when we were deployed with ZDX, we actually started seeing this deterioration in score. And Salesforce basically after 90 minutes acknowledged that there was a problem with DNS and it is impacting all their users. There was a feed update from their CTO on Twitter, and they also updated their health dashboard. So we basically had identified this problem within first 20 minutes. We sent out a field advisory notice to our own employees saying there's a problem going on with Salesforce. We received about 10 to 12 tickets only, where we typically would have received 200 tickets. So the number of tickets that typically would have opened would have gone down significantly. And one of the way we have operationalized ZDX is we have alerting framework. The output of alert for like bad score for ZDX across the globe for Salesforce were sent to an operations team. And they basically had integrated it with PagerDuty, the output of that alert, and they immediately got the escalation. They created an advisory and sent it out. So the mean time to detection came down significantly as a result of it. So this is like a macro issue. We have customers who have seen this with Office 365 outages or recent AWS outages, and they have used ZDX for those purposes. The second scenario is more localized problem, which is, I'll give you an example of one of our key executive. For example, we were on a Zoom call, and his Zoom connection was dropping every few minutes. Like we see jitter and then it goes away. And he's like, Zoom is having problems since morning on my setup, right? So we immediately started looking in ZDX, what's going on. What we figured out is actually there's no problem on in local network, on the Zoom application, or on the ISP side. He, like all of us, he has like hundreds of Chrome browser tabs open. There was some JavaScript process which was spiking the memory. And the moment that was happening every 5 minutes, Zoom was running out of memory, crashing and restarting. So it was a local end user induced issue, but someone who's not very technical will always think that is a Zoom problem, right? So those kind of issues we find day in, day out. And these are the kind of problems which are very hard to understand for IT operations people as well, if they don't get this single pane of glass where all the network application endpoint telemetry is coming in a single place. And one more anecdote I will add to it is we actually had a SVP of IT in a very large healthcare company who basically, when he joined the organization, CEO basically said, one of the key things we need to make sure is our employees are having good experience as they are working remotely. And he rolled out a NPS-based or Net Promoter Score-based scoring framework to gauge employee experience. They also adopted ZDX, and they started resolving tickets much, much faster with ZDX. As a result of it, within 3 months, their NPS score increased by 18 after adopting ZDX to troubleshoot end user issues. So these are some examples, and we have a lot more. We have written blogs on those things on our corporate website, but it's always good to hear when some customer shares these anecdotes with you as ZDX is helping them in their daily life.
Yeah, well, the Vim example is a good one because it does show the value of having that end-to-end view, right? So, an APM APM monitoring tool might see that where the NPM one wouldn't. And, I think that's why troubleshooting application problems has been so hard historically. You mentioned Microsoft and Zoom, and I know you also have a partnership with ServiceNow in this area. How important are those partnerships? Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing with them other than slapping the logo on your, as a partner?
So just to be honest, right, we refrain from doing slapping a logo kind of a partnership.
Yeah.
Those are not very effective for customers. We always take all the integrations we have done in the past in security and in ZDX. We found that what we saw, the kind of partner ecosystem we need to build is different from what we have typically done in security. So 2 areas where our customers really ask us to focus on what is in collaboration area. As you can see with ZKast, we are integrating with the provider APIs. And what we are also learning is people like Microsoft and Zoom are also very interested in the data we are seeing, because guess what? If you ask Microsoft, what is their biggest problem today for Office 365, it's not security, it's performance actually, right? So they have done a lot of work in this area as well. So, but the kind of data that we are collecting is also golden for them. So there's a lot of collaboration that's going on in this front with these vendors. Same with Zoom as well. Now, with another key area, I would say 8 out of 10 customers that we spoke to have some ITSM tool, and ServiceNow is a leader in this space. So we And we both are mutual customers and partners of each other. And we've been working very closely. There's good exec alignment and product alignment with each other. So one area that we identified was automating a lot of ITSM workflows with and IT1 workflows with ServiceNow. I'll give you a couple of key use cases that our customers really care for. One of them is in ZDX, we support this concept of live troubleshooting. We call it deep tracing. So when, let's say, when a analyst is analyzing an issue in ZDX for a given user, and they want to understand the current behavior and what is happening, and they want to troubleshoot things, there's simply a button in ZDX we call as deep tracing. You click it. It basically runs a live troubleshooting on user's machine remotely for next 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And we start collecting more telemetry on the user device. What we are working on doing is automation is with the APIs that we have, and what ITSM has is basically when a user opens a ticket, we can automate creation of this live troubleshooting session without a analyst going and creating that troubleshooting session and enriching the ticket with more context. Second thing we are doing is, which is more advanced capability that we are working on and will be rolling out pretty soon, is let's say if an employee has opened ticket in last 2 weeks, right? And those tickets are open. What we can do is we can look at ZDX in the last 2 weeks and say, in last 2 weeks, tell me when this employee had opened tickets, collect their ZDX data and see if they had a bad score at that time, and automatically enrich those tickets with that context. Plus, there is a lot of additional work we are thinking in terms. So these are two use cases we are productizing now, but there's a lot of additional work we are doing in terms of like employee self-help initiatives, for example, like ServiceNow has a portal where you open a ticket. We can add a widget from ZDX to say, hey, you're about to open a ticket, because every ticket has a cost, right? So before a user opens a ticket, we can give them some commentary on things that we observed that they can fix on their own, even before they open a ticket. So these are like some of the initiatives we both have identified, we have started working on, and this will help our customers immensely.
Yeah, I think more and more to the company's success is going to be based on its ability to partner, actually. So I'm glad to see you guys are doing that. And last question for you here, Dhawal, is what's the overall vision for ZDX? So what can customers of yours expect to see from this product, this year and years to come?
Yeah. So without getting into roadmap, what I would say when I think about the vision, right? So ZDX, the way you should think about it is, right, ZDX, as I mentioned, is a pillar product line. Pillar product line means that as a company, we are making significant investments in this area. We have expanded the team. We are looking at expanding where ZDX is today. We always start, any product line we start with a focused set of use cases. The key use case areas with ZDX have been around end user experience monitoring. But the areas that we will take ZDX would be beyond just focusing on end user workflows. For example, monitoring from Zscaler data centers. It would have been very easy for us to do those things on day one, but we focused on the harder problem, which was end user experience. So taking ZDX, the concept of ZDX beyond end user experience onto the network paths and infrastructure and data centers. In addition to that, focusing on automation. One key area where we are actually putting a lot of effort right now in ZDX is to bring more intelligence. Everyone talks about AI ML these days, but one of the key advantage we have is we are collecting about 8 billion telemetry points with ZDX even today. It is deployed by 2 million users. I would say more than 2 million. 2 million stat is at least a couple of months old. But the key point here is like we are sitting on a rich trove of data. What we have started doing is we have started applying machine learning models to this data, which will help us understand why problems are happening. So we can then build a lot of AI ops kind of capabilities into the product to say, what is the problem? Where is the problem? And with a click of a button, you get kind of a small mini RCA, which tells you why that problem is happening. So it brings the time today it takes for a human analyst to understand those things will be reduced significantly as a result of it. So intelligence and bringing a lot of machine learning into it is something which we have started working on because we think there is a lot of applicability of ML on the data we are collecting with ZDX.
Yeah, clearly you guys are collecting just volumes and volumes of data, and we almost need machine learning to be able to interpret what that means. So I'm glad to see you bring that up. Anyways, we're out of time here. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thanks for giving us a little bit of insight. I always like products that begin with the letter Z. So keep up the good work on ZDX, and thanks for that deep dive. So on behalf of Dhawal Sharma from Zscaler, I'm Zscaler from ZK Research. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click to subscribe.